ionization enthalpy. Ionization enthalpy. Ionization enthalpy. Represented as IE, or it is also known as ionization potential. Ionization potential, IP. And we use the term ionization, though it can be used for any element in the periodic table, whether it's a metal or non-metal. I am going to use it strictly for metals only. It is going to be useful for the metals. When I say ionization, neutral element, I want to ionize. What should you do? I remove an electron. Remove an electron. And though the metal converted into M plus is going to be an ionization process, though this is going to be also an ionization here, but ionization in the strictest sense means removal of electron, conversion of a neutral atom to positively charged ion. Therefore, I must remove one or more electron. I put N plus here, remove N electrons here, remove N electrons. Now, that energy is called ionization energy. Now, how would you define ionization energy? Now, let me see. Let me compare ionization energy of sodium, which is in the solid state, ionization energy of cesium, which is in the liquid state, or some other element in the gaseous state. Let me say an element in the gaseous state. Assume that all of them have got the same electronic configuration. It's just a hypothetical situation. We have got a solid, liquid, and a gas here. And what should you do? It has to be converted into M plus. How would you do that M plus here? M plus means it's on the gaseous state. Now, prior to the process of getting M plus gaseous state, you have to have one more change, namely sodium has to be converted to gaseous state. And that sodium gaseous state has to lose an electron here, has to lose an electron to form M plus gaseous state here. And that too, I will tell you, sodium has got 2 electrons here, 8 electrons here, and 1 electron here. Now, assume that this is going to be the gaseous state. Gaseous state. Now, I want to get Na plus. Na plus, there are, if you are not going to explain it properly, and that single electron probably is removed from the last shell. So 2-8 configuration. Na plus can have a configuration 2-8, or Na plus can a configuration 2-7-1, or Na plus has got the configuration 1-8-1. Now, as anyone understood, what is that I have done in order to get the 2-8 configuration, 2-7-1 configuration, 1-8-1? Of course, it's not possible. It's an hypothetical situation. If you are not going to explain it clearly, definitely I am tempted to visualize this way. Now, this way, I have removed an electron from the last shell. Ultimately, I am removing an electron. You have not told me where from. The electron, you have removed it. I have removed 1 electron from the second shell. So, if 1 electron is removed, no, it's not possible, but theoretically. Now, if I am going to remove, if I don't say this, I have removed 1 electron from the K shell here, therefore, the electronic configuration 1-8-1. So, based on this configuration, that is going to be another question, which 1 electron has been removed? The electron has been removed from the K shell or L shell or M shell. What is the electronic configuration of the sodium here? I have removed an electron from the M shell. Make a note of it. I have removed an electron from the L shell. I have removed an electron from the K shell. Imaginary. It is not possible. It is not possible. It is not possible. Now, yes. 1 minute. Please remember your question. Now, I told you these are the imaginary situation, hypothetical situation. Why should it not be possible? Raise your hand. Why should it not be possible for me to remove an electron from the second level, remove an electron from the first level? The one which is much closer to the nucleus is more tightly attracted. then this next shell, then the next shell. Attraction towards that particular electron is going to be the least. Normally when you supply the energy, the electron which has got the least attracted to the nucleus is going to be removed. Therefore, that is what is happening in reality also. Just like that, it's only a theoretical concept. It's only a hypothetical situation. It cannot be done. It cannot be done this way because it is most tightly attracted by the nucleus. In fact, I can ask you to write, the energy is spent, energy is supplied. When you supply energy, it can get the structure. When you supply energy, it can get the structure. When I supply the energy, it can get the situation. Now, I get the situation A here, situation B here, situation C here. I can propose one IIT question. Why don't you arrange them in the increasing order of energy level when sodium is converted to state A, state B, and state C? Increasing order of energy level. Write it. Arrange ABC. Arrange ABC as I explained there in the increasing order of energy level. Sodium has to be converted to situation A, situation B, situation C. What is the increasing order of energy? What did you write? Increasing order of energy. A less than B less than C, or A greater than B greater than C, or any other permutation combination. A less than. The amount of energy required is going to be least. Less than this, less than this. Why? Attractive forces increases. I am putting this into assertion reasoning. The energy level is going to be A less than B less than C. What is the explanation here? Closer to the nucleus, greater the attraction. Therefore, it requires more energy too. So, normally that is why it does not happen here. Always electrons are to be removed from the last shell of an atom. What atom? Gaseous atom. Gaseous atom. Even the element is going to be solid or liquid, it has to be converted to the gaseous state. Then there is a purpose of comparison. You can easily compare the energy level. You cannot do it one taking the solid state, the other one in the liquid state, other one in the gaseous state. Don't you follow? The energy level increases from solid to liquid. Has it not absorbed energy? Endothermic process. Melting of elements, substances, absorbs energy. And solid to gas, vaporization, it absorbs energy. Melting and vaporization are going to be endothermic process. Therefore, if this is going to be sodium, it has absorbed energy, you have the liquid state. If this is the liquid state, you come to the gaseous state here. Now, can I ask you one question? What is the process in which a solid element is straight away converted to the gaseous state? Sublimation. And the energy required to do that practical process is called sublimation energy. So, the sodium should have definitely absorbed that energy, sublimation energy, keep the sodium in the gaseous state. So, what is the energy required to convert to this? Sublimation energy. Now, you should have taken everything in the gaseous state. You should have taken everything in the gaseous state, an element in the solid state, liquid state, and for the sake of comparison. From that state onwards, gaseous state, you find out how much of energy it is going to absorb to remove an electron, one electron. And wait, and where from you are going to remove that electron? From the last shell, always, the last shell of a gaseous atom. You are going to remove an electron from an atom, an electron present in 1 mole of a compound. Always 1 mole of a compound. It should have Avogadro number. That also the comparison should be the same. You cannot take 1 gram of sodium and 10 grams of cesium here. There is no way of comparison. You should have taken 1 mole, 1 mole, 1 mole, 1 mole. All of them have got the same molar level. Therefore, now you combine all these statements over here, that happens to be the definition of ionization energy. I just repeat it, listen to me. After that you can make a note of it in your this. Ionization energy is energy required, absorbed. What should you do it? Energy required, remove an electron present in the last shell of a gaseous atom of an element, of 1 mole of an element. Gaseous atom of 1 mole of an element. And you have 1 mole of an element and you try to remove 1 electron from every atom of 1 mole of an element. And that energy is given, expressed in kilojoules per mole. Kilojoules per mole for 1 mole of an element. 1 mole of sodium. What is the atomic mass of sodium? Sodium 11, 23. 11, atomic number 11, 23. What is going to be sodium? 17, 35.5. Don't you remember the molar mass of sodium chloride is 23 plus 35.5. We have done the problems based on the mole concept here. 58.5. That is the molecular weight. That is the molecular weight. 1 mole of sodium, 23 grams. Should have taken 23 grams. Sodium in the gaseous state, then start supplying energy. At one particular stage, what happened? Sodium goes from the ground state to the excited state, neutral. Still it has not electron, but it has come to the higher energy level. Let us visualize how the electron has taken place. This is going to be sodium solid. And you supply energy here, absorb energy, endothermic process. And what happened? Sodium goes to the liquid state, or in some cases what happened, the melting point and the boiling point is going to be the same, and that is called the sublimation part of it. Because the attraction between the two liquids is going to be almost the same as that of the gaseous here. Therefore, it is straight away convert the gaseous state. That is the reason why in some cases you are able to convert solid to the gas, and that process is called sublimation process. Strictly speaking, the melting point and the boiling point is going to be more or less the same. The energy gap, when does a particular substance sublime? When does this particular substance sublime? Because when the melting point is going to be more or less same as that of the boiling point. Now, why is it so? We shall come back. It's kind of attractive forces. Now you are going to say the attractive forces between any two sodium atom in the liquid. See whether you are able to understand my point. Attractive forces between any two sodium atom in the liquid state, the attractive force between any two sodium atom in the gaseous state is more or less the same. Therefore, from the solid state, whenever the energy is absorbed, it goes to the gaseous state, sublimation process. Okay, that is going to be. From there, you supply energy. And what happens? As I have written, I am going to write the excited state. What could be I can write umpteen number of electronic configurations. Which of the following is an electronic configuration of excited state of sodium? Which of the following is the electronic configuration of excited state of sodium? Sodium is going to be 11, neon. Isn't it neon here? Neon. And what do you write? Which period? Third period. Lithium in the second period, sodium is going to be the third period. 3s1. ns1 is the electronic configuration. Now what happens to the excited state? Now sodium, first excited state. And what should be neon configuration? And that s electron could have gone to 3p1. Are you able to visualize? From s orbital, it has gone to the p orbital. The third level, what are the various orbitals? S orbital, p orbital, and d orbital. And where should it go? Px orbital or py orbital, pz? Any one of them, degenerate orbital. We know that answer here. If you are going to supply some more energy, it is still going to be Na plus only. Sorry, it is not plus, excited state. Let me put second excited state, still higher energy level. Now, what is going to be one more orbital that is present in the third level, d level? Now, the electronic configuration could have been neon core level here, and 3d1. Of the 5 orbital, which orbital should it go? Any one of the 5 orbitals. And the 5 orbitals, I have named it as dxy orbital. P orbitals, how are they classified? Px, py, and pz. D orbital can be classified as dxy, dyz, and zx, d x squared, y squared, and d. Make a note of it. Make a note of it. All of them are degenerate orbitals. I shall come back to the shape of the orbitals also when we are going to form the compound. When we are going to discuss the shape of the molecule. Shape of the molecule, we need to know the orbital structure, shape also at that stage. Now that could be, now tell me which of them is going to be, I can write still, what is the next level? Fourth level, 5 level. Now it goes, this is going to be an electron in the ground state, last electron. You supply energy, it go to the next cell. Let us take hydrogen. Shall we take hydrogen? Easiest. Hydrogen, the ground state, why should that single electron be present? The first level, 1s1. You supply energy, it goes to the second level. Second level, it can go to the second level to p also, 2s level, 2p level, the energy gap. Now forget about the orbitals. Forget about the orbital, the second energy level. and you supply some more energy, the electron goes to the third level, third shell, fourth shell, fifth shell. They are the various excited states here. And don't you agree with me? The energy of the excited state, the final excited state, the energy is maximum, greater than that, greater than that, greater than that. If you keep on supplying energy here at one particular stage, what happens? The electron goes away from that. Now hydrogen is converted to hydrogen ion. And that energy required to convert a neutral atom to positively charged space is called ionization enthalpy. It is definitely different from the excitation level. Energy required to remove completely should be much higher than that. Didn't I tell you the hydrogen is going to be the first shell here, second shell here, third shell and fourth shell. If you keep on doing it at one particular stage, it goes away. That is the minimum energy. That is what I told you. Ionization energy is the minimum energy required to remove a loosely bound electron. They say loosely bound electron. It should be in the form of an atom. It should not be in the form of a molecule. The electrons are not loosely held. Now we know the structure. This is going to be one electron here. This is going to be one electron here. In order to form hydrogen molecule, what do we say? We try to form a bond here, sharing of electron. That sharing of electron involves a sigma bond, single bond. Therefore, hydrogen single bond, hydrogen atom. When compared to hydrogen atom, I think I have given you this particular potential energy diagram. These are all the related points. Now, I am going to explain to you another very important concept. Whenever atoms combine together to form a molecule, two hydrogen atoms combine together to form hydrogen molecule. This is freely held electron in hydrogen atom. This hydrogen atom is not free. It's already tied up with another electron here to form a covalent bond here. So as per when I say it's a minimum energy required to remove loosely bound electron, there is going to be one more statement. This is not loosely bound electron. So should I take care of hydrogen atom or hydrogen molecule? Hydrogen atom, obviously. When I take sodium chloride, it's sodium chloride, the electrons are not loosely bound here, it's already transferred. That electron of sodium is present with chlorine. Chlorine is accepted here. It is not loosely bound electron. So whenever I want to say ionization energy of sodium only, not ionization energy of the compound. When I say ionization energy, I want to remove only one electron. Then try to supply some more energy. Remove the second electron, third electron, fourth electron. First ionization energy, second ionization energy, third ionization energy. We are going to, when I say ionization energy, it means the first. In all the other cases, second ionization energy, third ionization energy, all those things are given there. Now, the definition holds good only for the first ionization energy. Energy required to remove a loosely bound electron. Coming over here. I got the potential energy here of the atoms, hydrogen. Two atoms of hydrogen combined together, hydrogen plus hydrogen here. And they are coming from, this is going to be the distance between the two hydrogen atoms. Distance between two hydrogen atoms. Distance between the two hydrogen atoms. Now what happens here? As they approach together at infinite distance, there is no attraction, no repulsion. They are isolated. Hydrogen atom. It comes closer. At one particular stage, what happens? The potential energy decreases. It is going to remain, the potential energy remains the same up to a point. Then slowly it starts decreasing. Potential energy, both the hydrogen atom decreases. Come to a minimum level, you further decreases, it shoots up. There is a fast increase in the potential energy when you further compress the two hydrogen atoms, bring the hydrogen atoms here. Now what is happening here? This is going to be the infinite distance. I can ask you to define infinite distance. It is not to be measured in terms of kilometers or meters, picometers, etc. It differs from atom to atom. What is that infinite distance? It's a minimum distance below which potential energy decreases. That's the definition. What is the infinite distance? What is infinite distance? Minimum distance below which potential energy decreases, stability increases. Or how else can you modify? Below which the attractive forces increases. This hydrogen atom attracts this hydrogen atom. Attractive forces begin to operate. And up to this point there is no attractive forces, nor repulsive forces. What are these attractive forces? Can you tell me? What are these attractive forces? I have a nucleus, one proton. I have an electron here. I take another atom, one proton, and I have got, this is the nucleus here, one electron. This is the K shell, this is the K shell here. And what happens? This proton exerts attraction towards this particular electron. This is the K shell. This particular proton, nucleus, starts attracting the electron of neighboring atom. Attractive forces increases. And because attractive forces increases, now what happens? It starts liking the other hydrogen atom. And the potential energy decreases. And conveniently and comfortably, hydrogen is bonded to another hydrogen atom. That distance is called the bond distance. But that distance, you cannot compress it any further. Now what is that? That is what we were trying to do. If you compress it any further, repulsive forces begin to operate much faster than the attractive forces. So up to this point, attractive forces increases. From this point onwards, repulsive forces begin to increase. What is that repulsive forces? Two types of repulsive forces. Nuclear repulsion, electron repulsion. Repulsive forces are made up of nuclear, one minute. Nuclear repulsion and electron repulsion. Like charges repel. And what is that? The distance known at where maximum attractive forces and repulsive forces are zero, or minimum, you can say. Repulsive forces are minimum. And that is called the bond distance. That is the safest distance between any two atoms, where you have the maximum attractive forces. Yeah, you tell me, you wanted to ask me a doubt. That is the bond distance.
So the bond distance reduces, then the
if let's say this is going to be x picometers. 1 picometer is equal to 10 power minus 12 meters. Please note that. That is x picometers. If the distance is going to be less than x picometers, see here, if the distance is going to be less than x picometers, the proton-proton repulsion is more and electron-electron repulsion is, therefore on the whole, repulsive forces. This is the hydrogen molecule. What do you call this stage here? Hydrogen molecule is formed here. They are the excited state. The first excited state, second excited state, third excited state, and so on and so forth.
So then the bond distance increases?
No, it is not going to be there. It has to come down. Maybe because you are continuously supplying energy. The molecule absorbs energy. So what should it do? Naturally, the potential energy increases. That is what, now if you don't need to supply energy, if you start reducing the bond distance here, the potential energy increases automatically, because it becomes more and more less stable, unstable. This is the most stable situation. Hydrogen molecule in the ground state. This is going to be hydrogen molecule, excited state. What are these states here? They hydrogen atoms. It has not formed a bond. A covalent bond is formed. A strong covalent bond is formed here. That is going to be the most stable situation. And therefore, I am trying to remove the hydrogen, an electron from a hydrogen atom. Now you see here, what is meant by loosely bound electron? This is not loosely bound electron. Normally speaking, H2 to form H2 plus can be, in terms of the definition, it can be considered as ionization enthalpy. But ionization enthalpy means for atom, single atom. Now it is going to, because it's not the free electron here. Is the minimum energy, what is that ionization enthalpy? Is the minimum energy required to remove a loosely bound electron, a free electron of a gaseous atom. Though this is going to be a hydrogen molecule, can be converted to hydrogen ion. It is similar to that of ionization potential. And isn't it endothermic process? Absorbs energy. Now, after having learned the ionization enthalpy, let us discuss what happens to the elements down a group A and across the period. Down a group and across the period. Down a group across the period. A. Ionization enthalpy. It is normally expressed as delta H. All these energy changes are represented by delta H. Change in H is the enthalpy. Heat content. Enthalpy. Enthalpy is a potential energy, hidden energy. Enthalpy. It's a thermodynamic parameter. Like for enthalpy, entropy, energy, free energy. These are the various terms that you are going to. It's a kind of energy. And change in the energy. The change in the energy is always enthalpy of the final state minus initial state. Enthalpy of the initial. Always. It is not the other way about. When you say delta V, final volume minus initial volume. Same way, if you are going to say delta P, change in the pressure, final pressure minus initial pressure. Always final minus initial. As per the definition, otherwise there is going to be confusing whether it is going to be a positive value or negative value. Now, if this is going to be defined, then we know which is positive. You take a gas which is going to be 5 liters, you expand it, it goes to 50 liters. What should be the delta value? Delta V, 50 minus 5. It's going to be a positive value, 45 plus 45. That means it's an expansion. If delta V is positive, that means it tells you it is an expansion. That is the information we get. I have taken the 50 liters of a gas, and with the help of a piston, what happened? I tried to reduce it. Reduce the volume to 5 liters. And what should be the delta V? 5 minus 50, 40 minus 45. Whenever delta V is minus 45, it means it's compression. It's a compression. So, so delta H is the final state minus the initial state here. Now, and that is, if delta H is positive, it's an endothermic process. Delta H is negative, it is an exothermic reaction. We draw the potential energy diagram for an exothermic process and endothermic for the reactant to form the product here. We write the potential energy and reaction coordinate. At what coordinate, x-axis or y-axis, the reaction takes place? We will come back, I will explain this a little more. This is going to be the potential energy here. I have a reactant here and I have a product here. The potential energy product is greater than that of the reactant. In between the reactant and the product, there is going to be energy hill, energy mountain. Definitely, the energy of the reactant should definitely go to the higher level than that of the P. It cannot straight away go to the P. That is called tunneling effect. There is no tunneling effect in the reaction. It has to definitely go to the higher energy level, and then only the bond breaks here and it is going to be redistributed to form the product. Or you have a situation where you have a reactant here and the product here, lesser energy, and there is also an energy hill. And this particular difference, what is the topmost point of the hill here? I call this as activated complex. Activated complex. We will be using it quite frequently. Activated complex. This is the activated complex. The difference in the potential energy between the activated complex and the reactant, not the product. Reactant is called activation energy, EACT, abbreviated as EACT. EACT is activation energy. EACT is activation energy. In the first class, I was just mentioning about the catalysts, negative catalysts, which are used as preservatives. I told you about the salt. Sodium chloride acts as a preservative. Vinegar acts as a preservative. Sodium benzoate acts as a preservative. They slows down the reaction. And in other words, by adding a catalyst here, this activation energy is increased. Whenever activation energy is increased, reaction becomes very slow. Whenever any situation wherein this particular distance height of the hill is going to be decreased from this level to this level, reaction becomes faster. So what is the point to be related between reaction rate and the activation energy? Higher the activation energy, faster the reaction or slower the reaction? Slower the reaction. Energy, because hill becomes taller and taller. When the hill becomes taller and taller, not many molecules are able to cross the hill. When the hill becomes smaller and smaller, most of the molecules are able to. What is the rate after all? The number of molecules converted to the product per unit time. Mountain becomes bigger, only very few molecules are able to. So energy, activation energy increases. So the footstep is preserved. Preservative, the job of a preservative. What is the job of inhibitor here? It increases the activation energy. What is the role of a negative catalyst? It increases the activation energy. What is the role of the positive catalyst? It decreases the activation energy. So we are able to classify the catalyst into positive catalyst and negative catalyst in terms of activation energy, in terms of the activation energy.